Hello, Empowered Warriors. Welcome to episode 27. So I am really excited to offer this episode today because I feel like this is an episode that is going to resonate with so many of you warriors out there. In particular, the warriors who identify with being solopreneurs. And the reason why is because I was starting to notice, or I should say I've been noticing for a while, that so many solopreneurs, entrepreneurs struggle with getting past that threshold of attracting abundance in business. So chances are, if you listen to this podcast and you have a business, you probably may identify with having a salary or having an income that's, by most standards, it's considered pretty good. So high five or six figures. But the problem is that you are facing is that you really want to take it to the next level. You really want to take it to high six figures or seven figures. And you're just finding that you are getting stuck in the same place over and over again and not attracting the income that you want. So in this episode, I give you a lot of questions to consider about what is causing you to not attract the abundance that you dream of in your life. And I'll give you a little hint. It does have something to do with you. Surprise, surprise, right? With who you are being on the inside. So if this sounds like something that you want to know more about, I invite you to stay tuned. Welcome to the Empowered Warrior Podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am an intuitive coach, acupuncturist, and Chinese herbalist. This podcast is all about empowerment, meaning how you can maintain your personal power in order to have the best life beyond your imagination. An empowered warrior is someone who has the identity of a person who is healthy, radiant, and free from all suffering, and has the tools ready and available to move through life's obstacles with confidence, ease, and a sense of freedom. In this podcast, I bring over 16 years experience in Chinese medicine, countless years of self-development, and a passion for helping others find their personal power. I will be discussing just a few of my favorite topics regarding health from a Chinese medicine perspective, brain habits, and spirituality, so that you can quickly pave your pathway to freedom and be free from the chains that have kept you stuck. My intention with this podcast is to serve as a guide for warriors who want to form a healthy foundation of body, mind, and spirit, and sustain it by changing who they are being from the inside and having a stronger connection to their higher selves. My goal is to help students end the unnecessary suffering that they place on themselves by having poor health habits, negative thought loops, and a lack of self-worth. I'm so happy that you're here. Hello, warriors. How are you? So I wanted to do an episode today. As you probably are already aware, I tend to attract the solopreneur, the healer, the acupuncturist, the chiropractor, anybody really that works for themselves and helps other people. So I know I have a pretty wide audience when it comes to the entrepreneur, solopreneurs, solo practitioners. But if you are a solo practitioner or a solopreneur and you have been, for lack of a better word, struggling in recent years, or perhaps you have a really good income. Those of you out there that have a high 5-figure, you're into the 6-figure income, and you have a good following. You have clients that love you. You have patients that come back month after month, year after year. You have students that are your truest raving fans. But for some reason, it seems like you cannot get past that threshold of just the gradual, slow increase every year. So you're seeing an increase, but it's not really at the level that you want. You want exponential growth. You want to make an impact. You are a heart-centered solopreneur who really wants to make a difference in the world. And you want to see that ROI. Bottom line, you want that ROI. And it just feels like you're working a lot of hours, you're doing all the things, you work on your marketing plan, you write all your social media posts. And quite honestly, according to most people, your income is really good. This is who I want to talk to today on this podcast. I want to talk to you because I see you and I hear you. You are driven. You're used to a certain level of success, but you want more. Specifically, you want to go into the 7 figures, don't you? But there's something that you have been not able to figure out yet in your business. And it's really baffling you. And I totally get it. You know, you're able, if you want to go out and buy something really nice for yourself, you are that person that can do that. You have the income to support your family. Perhaps you're the breadwinner in your family. But you want more. You want next level wealth. Listen up. And I invite you, I feel like I say this on all of my episodes, but I invite you to take this episode very seriously because quite honestly, I don't know anybody that's talking about this. I don't know anybody out there that is talking about this specific subject. You might hear things that come out of my mouth that you've heard from other people, maybe worded differently. But this content today, I have to say, is going to be gold for you. Because I know, because of the work that I do, that this is a common problem, isn't it? And a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, solo practitioners do not talk about this or address it because they feel often, I think it's a sense of shame or embarrassment about wanting more, especially if you are somebody that identifies as a healer, right? When I went to acupuncture school, when I was getting my master's, our focus was on helping people get better with our acupuncture treatments and herbal treatments. And we had one stinking business course. That was excellent. It was taught by a very, very skilled acupuncturist business leader. However, we had one course. I'm not blaming. I'm not angry about it, trust me. But my point is, healers and solopreneurs that are helping other people, we are given that message, and it often attracts a certain personality, does it not? Like the helper, the person that genuinely wants to help other people, and oftentimes at the price of our income. I know this is true, warriors, because I see it. I'm in a lot of groups with other acupuncturists. I'm in groups with other healers. And there's this sense of duty to the point where it's not helping you gain financial abundance. And let's face it, this is the conversation that is not happening in many groups with healers because of the standard, of the stigma that people who are healers and helpers, our job is to heal and help and not expect anything in exchange. Am I right? Again, I came up with this idea because I have been thinking about some of the conversations I've been having with my fellow entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, about how they want to make an impact, but they also want something for themselves. And we all do. Let's just be honest, okay? And admit that we all want, I would say, I don't know what percentage, many of us want financial abundance. And if you're somebody that doesn't want money, thinks money is evil, then this is probably not the episode for you, because I am an entrepreneur who helps other entrepreneurs achieve financial abundance. I'm not a money coach, but I am a prosperity coach. I am the person that helps people with that foundation identity. In turn, that will help them get financial abundance. So if you want like a money coach, then I have referrals. I am not that person, okay? At least not right now. It's not in my identity. I help my clients by helping them with their inner identities. Identities that have been with them since in utero. I help them dislodge stories that have been with them through programming, from parenting and from schools and from society, that being a millionaire is unattainable or not within reach, or only certain people, only certain families, only certain individuals. Like wealth of that magnitude is reserved for people like that. And I am not that kind of person. Are you following me? So I want to bring light to a situation that, again, if people are talking about it, please message me on Instagram. I am Angela Noel, and tell me who's talking about this, because I would really like to have this conversation with entrepreneurs, other entrepreneurs out there that are into this kind of thing. So the fact that you listen, the fact that you're listening, and, I'm 10 minutes into this episode right now, and you're still listening, tells me that you identify with the words I'm saying, that you identify as an entrepreneur who wants to have financial abundance. The fact that you follow me tells me that you want more in your business, in your life, in your health, and you're not seeing those returns yet, right? So here is what I'm thinking, and as you probably already know, I am going to be as raw, candid, and transparent as possible, because, that's how I roll. So when it comes to being a solopreneur, let me ask you this first. What is your most important value? And I'd really like you and invite you to consider that, even though we're not talking face-to-face right now. I would love it if you could imagine that we actually are talking face-to-face. And I am asking you, what is your most important value when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and in particular, when it comes to being an entrepreneur who wants to grow your business? Now, if you're like most successful entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs that have impact as something that's as a value that's very important to you, chances are you have giving back or making an impact as a top value, right? And if you're like most entrepreneurs, chances are you probably have financial abundance as a top value. And if you don't know what your values are, this would be a very important place to start. Because when it comes to planning and implementing your business and setting goals for your business and setting goals in your life, knowing what your values are is a top priority. And let me just mention this one side note, is when you do your values, many times, especially the heart-centered, the healer population, they say that they want more money in their business, but then when they write their values down, they don't have any value within their top 10 that indicates money. So whether it be abundance or prosperity or wealth or millionaire, whatever word comes to mind or whatever values quiz you're taking that relates to money. And I will point out that it's a broken strategy. Okay. And this is why, because we are taught as healers, and I was one of those two. I was right there with you not too long ago where I thought, okay, as a healer, my priority should be around helping others and family and quality time and all these things that, even though those are really important values, I just want to emphasize the fact that just because you decide to put money as one of your top values doesn't mean that you love your family any less. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong or greedy or flawed about you, right? You are perfect just the way you are. But by you simply making that decision to shift your value on adding in money, adding in abundance as part of your top value, you may begin to realize that it is much easier to go from that foundation in your values than if you had money as like your 20th value. Am I making sense? I feel like sometimes it just takes me a little while to get oriented on these episodes because I have so much to say and I have so much in mind to tell you. It's like my brain is full, and it takes me a while to just gradually unleash all of the information that is kind of circulating in my brain. So I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at I am Angela Noel on Instagram, because I would love to make sure that you understand these concepts fully. So here is what I'm observing. I am observing solopreneurs that are, and I'm talking about the types, the solopreneurs that I directly work with, the driven, the overdoer. You're not somebody that identifies as being lazy, okay? In fact, you're often on the other side of the spectrum, right? You may be doing too much, right? You may be somebody that values hard work. And while it is really important to put in the hard work, you may be one of those people, and this is if you're not seeing the return on investment, you may be one of those individuals that you're at the grind all the time. You're doing your business during the day. You're getting up extra early to work on your business before your kids wake up, and then you're working extra hard at night, often at the sacrifice of your health and well-being. And I was just in a Facebook group before I took a little break from recording because I lost my brain track. I lost my, where I was going. So I started reading in a successful entrepreneurs Facebook group. And there were people in there talking about how important it is to work hard. And I am going to say something. And this is one reason why you're not going to hear this information anywhere else. Because while I think it's important to put in your time and to do the work, what's more important is tapping into your genius and allowing all that hard work. When I think of like the hard work and the late nights and everything, I think of that as being the work that you could probably outsource. Okay? And that means hiring somebody to help you, like hiring a VA to help you with all those little things like the scheduling of social media posts and the calendar management and podcast editing, or whatever it is that is taking your time and energy and effort away from you creating that thing that is going to in turn bring that return back to you. Are you following me? So again, If I've lost you, I'm really sorry, because this is a total free flow of consciousness. I am really in the zone right now, and I am trusting that what comes through me is what needs to come through me so that you can receive this very, very important message. So another thing that I'm noticing with the solopreneurs out there is that there is this resistance to, as I said, hire the people that can help you. And that could be, like I mentioned earlier, hiring a VA. It could be hiring a coach. And you may have signed up to work with somebody in the past. But what I'm finding is that there is this fear factor in the entrepreneurs that I am witnessing, where they feel reluctant to take that big leap. Because even though they say, they write in their goals, I want that 7-figure business, I want that 7-figure business, there is part of them that doesn't truly believe that they can have it. And here is the meat of this whole conversation. I've been circling around and around and around, trying to figure out how to get this out to you. And here we go. There are solopreneurs who are silently and maybe not even at the conscious level sabotaging themselves from having the financial abundance that they crave. Now, these are the people that often they level out at a certain amount. Okay, they level out at maybe, low 6 figures or mid to mid 6 figures, and they just, maybe every year they're gradually making a little more and more, but they're not seeing the exponential growth that they crave. And you may or may not even realize it yourself, that the reason why this is happening is because there's part of you that doesn't believe you can do it. Because there's part of you that fears success. Because there's part of you that doesn't have that in your identity, that you are a wealthy person, because maybe you grew up not being wealthy, or because you are surrounded by people in your life that are not wealthy and it makes you uncomfortable. And let's face it, we live in a society where talking about money in everyday conversation is not something that's invited. It's not something that you would just talk about if you go out to dinner with friends. And maybe in some groups that does happen. But oftentimes with many people, they say that they grew up in families where they just didn't talk about money. They weren't educated about money and finances. Often money was talked about in more of a negative, greedy way. That people who make lots of money are greedy, or people who make lots of money do not want to help other people. They just want to keep it to themselves, or whatever that stereotype is, or money doesn't grow on trees, right? So think about it. If you grew up hearing those stories from well-meaning people, it's just their story and what was handed down to them. Think about how deeply embedded those money stories are in your subconscious, and you don't even realize it. And consider, warriors, how that is affecting your ability to attract abundance in your business. Here's an example. You are, and this is made up, okay, but it's kind of based on a lot of the stories that I hear, see, and observe in my entrepreneur communities. You have a successful business. A lot of people from the outside in are looking in at your business, and they're like, wow, she's doing really well, and look at her. And you look at your bank account and it's decent, right? And when it comes to sitting down and doing all the things, you're really, really good at it. And, again, warriors, if I'm repetitive here, it's because I'm really trying to bring together everything so it's as cohesive as possible so you can understand. So when it comes to doing all the things, writing down in your calendar all the things that you need to do, and all the marketing and all the posts and the Facebook Lives and however you market, and however you're getting your name and your brand out there. And then when it comes to a certain potential to going to next level, there's something within you that stops it dead in its tracks. So what I want to ask you today is, what specifically is stopping you dead in your tracks that you're not making what you want to be making, what you dream to be making in your life? What is it? Is it fear? Is it fear of success or fear of failure? Is it fear of how others will see you? And I'm really curious, warriors, because this is more common than you would ever believe. Is it something within yourself that doesn't believe that you are good enough to have the kind of wealth that you desire? So you might chalk it off to something like, oh, being a millionaire is really hard. Making that kind of money is really hard. I am never going to be a rich person. Like, think about that. What are the types of dialogues that you're having in your head that, unless you start to really consider and pay attention to your thoughts and the dialogues that you're having, you probably haven't even realized this is running in the background. And for me personally, speaking as somebody that has had experience in this, it took years and years and years of inner work. It took lots and lots of time spent on staying committed to my transformation and choosing to not compromise in any way, shape, or form. So often, and I'll be honest with you, it often meant saying no to things that are often seemingly glamorous, like conversations to fit in. Like, like getting invited. We've all been there, right? Having those conversations with other people. Maybe it's your best friend from childhood who might be rambling on about how hard it is to get by. And you sit there and you validate that friend. You're like, oh yeah, I know. It's really hard to get by. When instead you could just set that boundary and say, hey friend, I understand where you're coming from. I'm holding space for you. But I gotta be honest with you, I don't think that way anymore. But know that I will always support you and love you. And always doing it from a place of love, right? Not judgment. Because as we grow and expand, warriors, oftentimes the ego wants to get in the way and shout from the rooftops that we're doing it right while everybody else is doing it wrong. I'm right. I know I'm right. And there's no attachment by me saying that. So if you disagree, feel free to disagree with me. But it's true, right? Like, think about the last time you did something that was so transformative and you wanted to tell everybody about it, and you wanted all of your friends to do the same thing so that they could experience the changes that you're experiencing, but they're just not there yet. So warriors, as you're probably starting to recognize at this point, that when it comes to attracting the money and the abundance that you desire, it really isn't a matter of working harder or doing all the things or overachieving, is it? But it is a matter of loving yourself. It is a matter of having high self-worth, isn't it? I sent out a newsletter today to my audience on my list, and the title was Attract Millions by Loving More. And what I meant in that headline is that the way to be able to attract the abundance that you desire is by making a conscious choice to love yourself, to value yourself, to get into alignment with yourself so that you can make choices that are going to help you leverage your business, so that you can make choices that are going to help you leverage your health and your connection to your higher self. And so instead of taxing your kidneys and your adrenals by overworking and doing things that you could outsource. You could choose to take care of yourself, set the boundaries, practice self-care and self-love, and be able to attract even more money. And for those of you that are used to traditional thought, you got to work hard, you got to get the job to make money, you got to give yourself time to attract or to make the money. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to do this, this, and this. While there is some validity in those things, I'm here to offer you a different perspective. And I'm not suggesting that you sit around and watch Netflix. No, you're still being a responsible business owner, but you're being an aligned business owner. You are being a business owner that makes choices according to what makes sense to you and loving yourself. And by loving yourself, what does that mean? So remember earlier in the episode when I was talking about entrepreneurs who decide that they're not going to hire that coach or hire their VA or hire people because they fear that they're not worth it. Or entrepreneurs who write that they want to make a certain income, but when it comes down to their identity and their values, they're not able to because it comes down to something really deep within themselves, and that is self-worth. And this topic, warriors, is so important that I've decided that my next program is going to be about this. It's called The Business of Self-Love. And if you want to be on the wait list and be the first to hear about when it comes out, then just check the show notes and sign up and be on the wait list. Because it's going to be huge. And I'm not just saying it like it's going to be huge. I mean, it's as far as huge meaning, it's going to make an impact. It's going to make an impact on your life and on your business. And I am committed to teaching my students how they can get into alignment with themselves and learn how to love and trust themselves so that they have the business of their dreams. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out the show notes. I'm going to be talking about it more and more as I concretize the plans and when it comes out. But keep your eye open for it. And if you want to get started right away, I am working with clients one-on-one, and I'm offering one-off sessions as well, because I feel that we're at a time right now that is very pivotal, and people out there that have their own businesses, warriors out there who are solopreneurs, we really have an opportunity to be on the forefront of helping humanity grow and evolve. So if you are still sitting and listening to this and saying, oh man, I just don't believe this for myself. I really don't see how making millions of dollars and helping the world is correlated. I invite you to consider the last time you were able to really donate to a cause that you believe in. And with charity and, GoFundMe, it's always usually about donate what you can, and that's totally fine. But if you're a person who really, really wants to be able to give back to society, the way to do that is to make more money. And the way to do that is to help others make more money. So consider that. And if you're still resisting and you're still listening, first of all, congratulations. But let me ask you this. Where else in your life do you hold on so tightly to your beliefs where it's holding you back? And how is it showing up for you? For some people, it shows up in their relationships, or they do it in the clothing that they buy, or whatever decision that they're making. But where else in your life are you not showing up for yourself? And how is that affecting you? And where you're going to be 10 years down the road, or less, a year down the road, if you continue to work from old stories, if you continue to think about this kind of thinking as hocus pocus or whatever some people are calling it, if you continue to allow or not allow expansion into your life, where are you going to be? knowing that you have these big goals, knowing that you're tired because you're working so hard. And if you're like many entrepreneurs, many burnt out, driven entrepreneurs, chances are you may have experienced health problems as a result of all the burnout, haven't you? So adrenal fatigue, hormone imbalances, I've been there. Weight gain. So any imbalance, any alignment issue, like the further and further you get away from your truest self, your inner alignment, the further you get away from that, the more it's going to show up in your body. I'm not going to lie to you. So you know those mystery illnesses, right, that people talk about, like, I don't know, I just woke up one day and my hair started falling out, or, oh, I just mysteriously gained 30 pounds. That happened to me. And I'm not the kind of person that has it even in my identity that I'm an overweight person. But your body is going to try to get your attention as best as possible by being subtle, and then getting louder and louder and louder and louder until you're finally paying attention. And for me, it was weight gain. And for a while, I was like, all right, well, I'm in my 40s now. Like, I'm going to embrace my bigger legs and, the extra fat around my body. And then I realized that the weight gain was starting to become a problem, because it seemed like no matter how much I exercised, the weight didn't come off. And it wasn't a matter of, again, doing all the things, doing all the exercises and showing up for my Orange Theory classes, but it was a matter of who I was being on the inside and what I was holding on to and what stories I was holding on to about myself when it came to lack of self-love and lack of self-worth. So I share this with you, and I hope that this really comes through today as not only a coach who sees this in people, but as a human being that's had this experience. And what I want for each and every one of you warriors is to be able to really have the business that you desire, have the freedom that you want. Because if you're like most entrepreneurs, you value freedom. Have you done that values quiz yet? I really want to know what your values are. But most entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because they value freedom. And how free are you if you're being chained by your thoughts? If you're being chained by your stories? If you're being chained by identities that no longer serve you? And in Chinese medicine, the primary goal that acupuncturists want to get out of every treatment is to move qi and to move blood. Because when you move qi and you move blood, that is when people move themselves out of pain. That's when the body feels relief. That's when the mind feels relief. And I always use the analogy of being stuck in traffic, because I don't know too many people that enjoy traffic jams. But when you're stuck in traffic and you're not flowing on the highway in your car as you'd like to be, how do you feel? Frustrated, right? Impatient. You just want to get there already. And that's exactly how the body responds when it's not in flow. That's exactly how the body responds when your mind is not in flow and in alignment and in balance with itself. You are the creator of your life. It is up to you and nobody else to create that which you were intended to do on this planet. And I don't know how many billions of people are on this planet, but if you have an internet connection, if you have a phone, you are doing better than many, many other people in this world. So today I invite you to drop the stories, drop the excuses, and go out there and learn how to get in alignment with yourself, learn how to love yourself and develop self-worth so you can go out there and make an impact and be compensated and be greatly compensated. It's not my intention here on this podcast, to tell you what to do or judge you for the decisions that you've made, but it is my intention to inspire and inform you so that you can go next level into your business. Because when you go next level into your business, you are going to shine bright like a diamond, and you are going to be able to fly high and serve the world in only a way that you can. And as a result of this energy, this newfound abundance and this excitement and this bright white energy, the energy of the divine, the energy that each and every one of us has within us, if we are willing to claim it, that is just going to affect that ripple going down into the rest of humanity. So are you going to get in the flow and be part of that ripple? Tap into your creation, into your inner knowing? Or are you going to choose to remain stuck and stagnant? Because what I know as a Chinese medicine practitioner, stagnation doesn't really work out that well. Stagnation results in pain, physical, emotional, spiritual pain. And what I know about human beings is we all want to avoid pain and tap into pleasure. So what do you need to see, hear, and feel to really understand that you need to start loving yourself right now? Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Okay, warriors. My time is up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for bearing with me as I stumbled through this one, but I hope that you got at least one nugget out of this episode. And if you did, please tag me on Instagram and let me know what that nugget is at I am Angela Noel. And that concludes today's episode. And why don't you go out and go make an impact? Love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Take good care. Thank you so much for listening to the Empowered Warrior podcast. It is an honor and a privilege to have you as a listener. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast and would like to help others pave their pathway to freedom, end their disempowerment and suffering, and become an empowered warrior, please share this podcast with your friends and family. Also, it is my intention to help humanity grow and evolve to their highest potential. So if you really enjoy what you're hearing, please help me spread the word by leaving a review in iTunes. Thank you again, and I am so grateful to be able to serve you in this very exciting way.